Now for a movie rant break, One Up presents a movie rant break. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the movie rant break. Appreciate everybody for tuning this episode. I was planning on having this episode out sooner, but I ran into some complications. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I went and saw this movie first with somebody, and I was just not in a great mood, you could say. And my viewing experience wasn't ideal. I started in that 270 degree Screen X showing, and to be honest, I didn't really care for it, at least in the state of mind that I was in. And then I went a second time a few days later to verify what I had seen, and my perception on the film was completely different. And then it had me going back, listening to some of the other episodes I've done regarding Mortal Kombat and watching the other films again. And I just really want to get a good gauge on what I watched and what's already been out. And you could say, like, well, don't you always do that? More or less. But the Mortal Kombat franchise for me is, I'll call it important, I guess. I just am a fan. I grew up playing the games. I love the 95 film a lot and the 97 one. And I like the 21 MK film. And, you know, like I said, I had a weird watch on the most recent Mortal Kombat film. This is what I'm reviewing today. It's Mortal Kombat II, the 2026 one. Like I said, I just kind of had a weird experience or two, and just, I don't know, just taking way longer on and trying to figure out how I felt about this movie. Because I was disappointed, and I still am a little bit, but it was a fun movie. Now, is it great? Fuck no. Are any of them? Not particularly. I mean, the 95 one, you call it nostalgia, I don't know, but there's something special about that film, because I think the storytelling in it is really solid, despite its camp and some of the other elements. But I just want to give you guys like a precursor to what the fuck was going on with me going in to review this film. I didn't mean to go on like a long explanation and dissertation on that, but I just wanted to have this release day of out, but just things last week were weird, because this is May 13th when I'm actually getting to review it. Excuse me, I actually went and saw it last Thursday, and yeah, so shout out to my mom. She actually went and saw that film with me yesterday. We went to one of those dine and watch, or watch and dine movie theaters. And my mother brought like A1 steak sauce in for a steak sandwich. I thought that was pretty gangster. Shout out, I mean, she's a legend. Shout out to my mom. Mama Bake. She's a real one. But when I was a kid, she used to watch Mortal Kombat with me, the original 95 one and the 97 one. So like this franchise is really special to me in more than one way. So am I a little biased to it? For sure. Are they actually fundamentally good films, or are there good things about them? Absolutely. And I just wanted to have put respect on this franchise. A lot of people scoff at it, but there are things going on that's really cool about this film and entertaining, fun, interesting. I wouldn't call it in depth by any means, but there is some cool lore to it. And yeah, I just wanted to get that out and let everybody know kind of what I was going through, because it actually was bothering me. And I was like, oh shit, like where do the scores land for this versus these ones? And yeah, so that's my dissertation, I guess, leading into this. So I hope everybody out there that went and saw it enjoyed it, and I'm sure there's other people listening that really do rock with Mortal Kombat, and it's a dope franchise. So let me get into this. Sorry if that was too ranty, but I've been having a weird last couple weeks. I don't know if anybody else is. I'm just trying to like really lock in on some shit. I'm just having some resistance with stuff, and anybody else out there feeling that way, I feel you, and let's push through. You know, shit. But okay, let's get to the review. Sorry, everybody. Some people are like, shut the fuck up, but here we are. Mortal Kombat 2, as I want to call it, is probably like MK26. I'm going to call the predecessor to this film MK21, and then the 90s ones MK95 and MK97, respectively. So, MK2, aka MK26, directed by Simon McQuoid, written by Jeremy Slater, produced by Todd Garner, James Wan, Toby Emmerich, E. Bennett Walsh, and Simon McQuoid. Excuse me. Starring Carl Urban, Adeline Rudolph, Jessica McNamee, Josh Lawson, Ludi Lin, Makad Brooks, Toddy Gabriel, Louis Tan, Damon Harriman, Chin Han, Lord be with me on this one, Tadanubu Asano, Joe Taslim, Hiroyuki Sanada. Cinematography, Stephen F. Windon, edited by Stuart Levy, music by Benjamin Walfish. Honestly, dude, didn't do that good, Benjamin. The music in this was not it. It just wasn't even there. It felt like it was a Warner Brothers film, released May 8th, 2026, with a runtime of 116 minutes, with a budget of $80 million, and currently on May 13th, the box office is at $71 million. They're doing really well, and I'm happy for them, honestly, because if you remember correctly, when the predecessor came out, MK21, that came out in 2021 when COVID was being a pain in the ass, and they actually released this simultaneously on HBO Max with the theatrical release, rather. So that this film for a franchise, they had a rugged release last time. I think they still did pretty well, but it's been half a decade since MK21. So it's good they're having some success right now. IMDb is currently giving this a 7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is giving it 65%. Metacritic with a 47%. Now, brief breakdown. It's taking off after MK21, where the tournament to have Earthrealm fighting Outworld to see who, or the Earthrealm's trying to protect its domain from the invading realm of Outworld. In a tournament, they've lost 9 tournaments straight. If they lose this 10th tournament, Outworld inhabits and takes over Earthrealm. So that's the tournament going on, and yeah, motherfuckers are fighting. So, like I said, actually, yeah, I've seen it a couple times. It didn't have a great first watch, and I just want to point out, lastly, with that whole situation, it really does affect who you go to the movies with and the experience going to and from the theater. Very much so. Can impact your whole perception on a movie. And I think that's something to consider too, when sometimes you might not like a movie because maybe you were in a shitty environment when you were shown the movie. Like, I think sometimes we forget that. And like someone that critiques films and is sometimes looking back at, oh, that's interesting that I gave that score. And you got to think, like, sometimes I'm in a particular mood, and sometimes I'm not into certain shit, and sometimes it's just the whole experience of going to see that movie can really dictate your whole perception of the film. And I just think that's really relevant to consider, with critiquing films. And sometimes you have to watch it again, or you might watch it 10 years later and be a completely different person at that point and see it and go, oh, this resonates completely different with me than when it did 10 years ago. And I think that's okay. Usually it's ballparkish from what you thought before, be like, oh, that was way better than I remember. Because sometimes when a one watch, the first time you see it at theaters, the expectations could be high. Then go and rewatching it 5 years later with expectations are low. You're like, wait a second, that actually is pretty good. So I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting thing I encountered as of late with a couple films, this being one of them. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. Now, MK21, Kano, or I'll say it came out half a decade ago. And Kano definitely stole the show in that film. He had great jokes, great one-liners. The character was written very well. And you couldn't say that for all the characters. And the actor crushed it as well. What's the guy's name? Shit. Josh Lawson. He's dope. So he's definitely still showing MK21, and he's had great comedic relief and just helped the film not appear cheesy, especially during some exposition dumps where the jokes followed, just kept the tone on point while still informing the viewer. Now, in that film, they definitely needed a stronger lead. They had Louis Tan, who was Cole, as the lead, and he was a new original character, and I respect him for adding a new character, but he just wasn't it. And I thought Liu Kang didn't toe the line that well either. And there was definitely just some things in that film that needed some beefing up, including Liu Kang. But the set design was a little hollow and shit like that. But in this film, they decided to bring in Karl Urban, which I was really excited about. That being said, I was a little disappointed with the film because I feel like it should have been way cooler. I'm a huge MK fan. I still enjoyed it. It's just, I felt that the opportunity and the setup from its predecessor, this film really should have been an easy layup to focus on the tournament. And we'll get into that. But, the more the film went on, the more I think it found its rhythm and I enjoyed it more, which is always the preference rather than it get worse as it goes. But Karl Urban casted as an older Johnny Cage, I was like, okay, that works. Now, if you haven't seen The Boys, the show on Prime or Amazon or whatever, it's a really unusually good show. And Karl Urban, he has co-stars and co-leads, you could say, in that show, but he's essentially the lead in this really awesome show, The Boys. And his character, Billy Butcher, is fantastic. And he kind of is in the same pocket as Johnny Cage in some regard. And I just thought, I don't know if my expectations were too high with him or something going into this, but he's a washed up Johnny Cage. I was like, oh, this fits. Karl Urban, he's solid in The Boys, and he's been in so much shit from Star Trek to Lord of the Rings. I mean, you fucking name it, this guy's been in it. He's a really solid actor. I haven't really seen him miss. So I was like, he's not gonna miss this, and I just didn't know if the expectations were too high. But the beginning of the movie, I was really struggling to wrap my head around him being Johnny Cage, and I don't know if it was the delivery of lines or it was just the shitty written dialogue or a combination of everything, but I accepted it mid-movie, but I just think he could have just acted like Billy Butcher and it would have been official. I think he was just, I don't know. It's not the worst. I'm okay with it now, I guess, but I thought it was going to be done deal. This, put a stamp on it. This is official, but it's definitely room for improvement. We'll say that. I thought he was going to steal the show. He definitely didn't steal the show. I don't think he made the film worse. But in the beginning, I was questioning if he was going to toe the line. I don't know if he just leaned into the camp or it was just written that poorly. Whatever. But Karl Urban, I love you, dude. You're awesome. I'm not holding you to this. I think the film worked out all right, but just like I said, the dialogue for him was not great. And then just when he's doing the arm swinging when he's fighting Baraka, I'm just like, the nut punch saved it, but it was just too much. And I know the film's not taking it seriously, but I don't know. It was a little much for me. And there was things in the film where I was just like, why is this happening? Like, for instance, Liu Kang getting stabbed by Shao Kahn at that. And as he's getting stabbed, he's like, I'm not the chosen one. And then ascends into some fire vapor and says he must find Kung Lao or some shit. Like, that wasn't expected. And I'm like, where the fuck he go? What's going on with this? I didn't love that. I just was like, okay. And when that whole situation was almost alluding to the fact that like Katana's the chosen one, I was like, okay, go girl power. Granted, like I thought they were shifting from Liu Kang / Cole in the first one to Johnny Cage, but then it was like Katana was kind of the lead in the movie. Like the beginning development, the opening sequence was about Katana and the origins of her realm being taken over by Shao Kahn. And then like at the end, she kills Shao Kahn. So almost like she was the lead, which I like didn't hate that, but just kind of confused, I guess, a little bit. And then I didn't know how I felt about Raiden being susceptible to Kung Lao's hat throw. Because now there's a revenant Kung Lao. You know, he's a zombified, evil version of himself. He's been resurrected by Quan Chi. And comes back and attacks Raiden right before the fight ensues or the round ensues for the tournament. But it didn't make sense to me, and here's why. Because they're trying to capture the power of Raiden into Shinnok's amulet, which is another thing we'll get into. But in order to do so, Kung Lao throws his hat at Raiden's throat, cuts it open, and then Raiden is having light come out of him, and then Shang Tsung comes in and tries to steal his power. But the thing that confused me is, A, Raiden is a god, so why is this hat throw incapacitating him so where he's vulnerable to get his power sucked from him? And like he goes in the IR list, because at that point, Shang Tsung does steal the power into Shinnok's amulet. But the thing that, like, the inconsistencies lie where, how was he able to get injured? Because once Shao Kahn gets the amulet infused with Raiden's power, then he is invulnerable and doesn't take... he can't be injured. Like even Cole slices his throat and it heals and he's still fighting. So it was like Raiden was incapacitated from a throat attack, but Shao Kahn wasn't. And I seen the movie twice and I was like, well, I don't get why that's not working for me. It seems inconsistent. And then also in that same sequence, some of the fighters are getting teleported to fight the next round in the tournament. And it seems in the typical lore, like the elder gods set the rules of Mortal Kombat. There's only so much flexibility with this shit. And they've made you think, and I've alluded to the notion that like once you're being summoned for a battle, like you're getting summoned. But in that sequence, when Kung Lao slices his throat, Raiden's soul, like power gets sucked through, fighters are getting brought to the arena and Shao Kahn doesn't. And it's like, why is he able to delay being teleported to the fight to go fight Cole in order to get the amulet from Shang Tsung and then get like, you know, his little power up? Like why wasn't Shao Kahn teleported to the arena to fight? Like, cause usually in the past, and the way that they've perceived it in this is like you're at the whims of the rules of the tournament. Like he should have been teleported. I don't know why he was hanging back waiting for the amulet. It just didn't seem like that made sense. I felt like it was kind of plot hole-ish and inconsistent on those few elements. That basically that whole sequence just seemed kind of extra and counterintuitive and just didn't make sense to me. Maybe I missed something and that's okay, but I don't think I did. But Let me know if I did. Y'all usually do. So there was a lot of good shit in the film too. That was kind of like my biggest gripes, you could say. Like, I liked how there was a vast improvement in set design from its predecessor, MK21. There was a lot of hollow environments that was really noticeable in the last film that I thought they addressed and improved. The costume design was solid along with the first one. And I did like how they just built off the MK21. Like, they kept it moving. They knew what they were working with. They didn't waste time getting into fighting and making it exciting for the most part. You know, they introduced Johnny and some other characters, but it got right into it, and I think that was a wise move. You don't have to overdevelop characters we are familiar with. I mean, it's been half a decade, so like, let's get to it. And I did like how they paid a lot of homage to the fighting arenas. With that being said, there's an element to that I have a gripe with, though, as well. As I thought the tournament situation, they should have focused more on that and built more excitement into the tournament. I felt, this whole element with Shinnok's amulet in there. And, people teleporting to arenas, cool. Like, okay. Shinnok's amulet, not so much so. But I just think, like, with the MK95, there was so much lead up and build up to some of these matchups with the fighters that when the fights were about to happen, you're like, oh, shit, here we go. And they kind of did that in MK21, too. At the end of, by the end of the film, there was some excitement to who was matching up with the fights. And I don't think you got that as much in this one, except with Shao Kahn. Like, Shao Kahn was fucking the man. But the tournament, there was no audience. And like, I think that was what was cool about MK95 is they're on Shang Tsung's island. There's like a bunch of contestants and like everyone's fighting and you're mingling with the other fighters and creating some sort of arc with who's fighting who. And you're like, there's excitement behind it. And there just was lack of that in this with a lot of the fights and matchups. Like Sindel and Sonya Blade, for instance. They just fought, but they didn't really know each other, which, okay. But they're just shit like that and that where it was just no build up to it and it just lost that excitement. And I just think they got too focused on the Shinnok's amulet thing. And then they're, going to Outworld and trying to do all that thing with getting the amulet back when it's like, I just would have preferred if they focused on the tournament. That was a big thing for me in this film where I was like, I like the movie. I just think they could have focused more on the tournament and that would have made me a lot happier. And it just would have been more fun and exciting than trying to progress this other storyline they're trying to set up for a third movie. Yeah. Liu Kang got yoked in this movie. Good job, Liu Kang. He was thin in the last one. He's definitely been lifting. He gained 35 pounds, I think, for this role. And like I said, Shao Kahn was probably the coolest character. Noob Saibot was really dope. But definitely great job, Martin Ford, the guy that played Shao Kahn. He voiced and played him, and Shao Kahn was legit scary. It's no joke. He stole the show, and he had the best kills in the movie by far, and just his character was perfect. Like, that's Shao Kahn. And that's like, he made the film really awesome, and it's like, you can't ignore like Shao Kahn's so good in this movie. Like, if you took everything from all the best elements from we'll say all four of the Mortal Kombat movies, even though it was minimal in MK97, you get like a really top tier Mortal Kombat movie, but they just never all do it right in one film. And that's okay. But yeah. there was a cool moment where Katana could have brought the amulet back if she wasn't summoned to fight, and it would have changed the whole situation in the movie. And I thought that was a cool little, oh shit, like she could have, they almost had him, but they didn't. Like she could have saved Raiden and shit, and then Quan Chi has to bring the amulet to Shao Kahn. It was a cool little moment. It was like, oh shit, that was they could have won right there. Kano was solid in this as well. Kano turning back good was cool and made sense because, as he says in the film, like, Outworld is a shithole, and, you know, he wants threesomes and foursomes and cocaine, more or less, which made sense for the character. I always, like, it would have been weird, and sometimes I think it's weird in certain situations where when people turn against their own planet or their own race or their kind or whatever, and it's like they're turning again, they're joining a completely barren wasteland planet or realm or whatever. Like, Outworld's a shithole, so it made sense that he would come back and try to rock with Earth realm and stuff. Bihan / Sub-Zero burning in the Nether Realm and was awakened was tight. Like, he's just laying, just like smoldering in the afterlife in the Nether Realm. It was cool. Scorpion's Mirage in the Nether Realm was cool. Like, he's just created his own fake environment in the Nether Realm. Nether Realm's like hell. If people that are watching that didn't see the movie, but the Scorpion get over here, followed by the body being pulled out of Noob Saibot, and then Scorpion slices the body in half. That was pretty fucking dope. Yeah, I mean, a lot of good and just a lot of bullshit too. Like I've been saying, that writing overall for the story and the dialogue not good. Like, the beginning of the film was the worst part of it all, I think. You know, like, one of the lines when Johnny Cage gets to Raiden's temple, he's like, robot arms? That guy has robot arms. Like, that line is fucking ass. Fuck. And it's just like, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Like, what? Like, come on. There was no EDM music in the fights, and just really no music at all. And kind of both MK21 and MK26. That, I think that's the thing that really helps MK95, is the music is so prevalent and helps, you know, give the heartbeat to the film, where you're just like, yeah, fuck yeah, Mortal Kombat, like, it's the shit. And this, there was, you know, cool fight scenes, shit looks cool, they look like the characters, but then it's just no music or anything. You're like, what y'all doing? For real, like, what y'all doing? They only do the theme song and the end credits. I was like, what? And then, like, what the fuck was with Quan Chi? Like, Kano said it best. He called him Voldemort's nutsack. Shout out to Voldemort having a reference in there. But he did look like Voldemort's nutsack. That was an appropriate analogy. Like, that casting and look of Quan Chi, they should have got someone that, I don't know, that was not it. He looked like the fucking True Value version of Quan Chi. Like, let's come on. You had 5 years to pick. You couldn't have found someone that was a little more charismatic and interesting. Like, I don't know. Just kind of seemed like a dweeb. Yeah, just, I was saying with the tournament, it was just like anticlimactic. Like, it was all over the place. I mean, I appreciate them trying to mix it up with the story. Like, the first time I watched it, I was like, why not just stick to like what kind of worked with the original story? Like, they did like a prequel setup to the tournament, which was MK21 essentially. It's like, okay, cool. The successor is going to be about the tournament, would be in this film. And it was, but then there was all this extra stuff they're adding. I think, like I've said, they should have just went with that one. And then the third one being Shao Kahn coming back to, because Shang Tsung would be in this one, like the fight, the whole tournament. They're fighting. Shang Tsung's the end versus Liu Kang or whatever. Or maybe it'd be Johnny Cage. I don't know. And the third one would be Shao Kahn trying to like fuck over the tournament and do what he did in the like original lore. But they like doing some pivot where they're trying to introduce Shinnok and all this other stuff, and I just it was a missed opportunity to just have this really cool tournament and like, and they had that fucking scoreboard shit. I think the scoreboard thing was kind of lame. Like, I don't even, with the little vials or something. I don't know. It was like in the sky. I get why they did that for like when Katana switches size, but I was like, what? And then he like switched the scoreboard. I was just like, okay. Yet again, like I think this movie just have fun with it. And there was so like the kills and stuff, which I want to get to right now, were like cool. And there was some really good stuff about the film. Like aesthetically, a lot of it looked, I mean, it looked the best it's looked probably out of any Mortal Kombat film. Like Noob Saibot looks sick. Scorpion looks dope. You know, Johnny Cage jacket with the the JC on it, like that shit's kind of dope. I mean, like shit looks higher budget. It looks official. It doesn't look like some bullshit, but there's just some other shit around it that just throws me off, and it's like, all right. As a fan, I had to remind myself, and I think I'm reading into some of it, but at the same time, fundamentally, some of it is retarded, and you're just like, okay. But the kills. Let's talk about the kills, everybody. I mean, it's fucking Mortal Kombat. Which in the movie, they're like, it's Mortal Kombat, it's to the death, whatever. I think Sonya Blade says some shit like that. And then there's all this mercy. And I was like, what's with all the mercy in this Mortal Kombat movie? One of the first fights is a mercy given to Johnny Cage from Katana. And then Jax with Jade. And it just, I don't know. I just expected everyone fighting to the death, and it just didn't happen that way. And I guess that's okay. But yeah, I mean, I think there was what? 1, 2, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 8 or 9 kills, I think. Katana's kill on Shao Kahn with the fans spinning, splitting his head into pieces is pretty fire. I'm not gonna lie on that. I was surprised Jax died, but I was also disappointed because it wasn't a more brutal kill. Like, it was kind of the worst kill. Like, he just gets some shit pressed through the throat. I had a feeling they were going to kill off Cole. I mean, it made sense. And the Shao Kahn kill on Cole was expected, but it was fucking sick. I think that was the best kill in the movie. Was Shao Kahn smashing Cole's head. Like, that was top notch. Sonya Blade had a good kill against Sindel as well. But then Shao Kahn brought her back as a Revenant too. These motherfuckers won't stay dead. Like I said, Scorpion's kill on Noob was fire. Liu Kang's kill on Kung Lao was legit. There's some good kills, for sure. Excuse me. I feel like Shang Tsung, he was like MIA a lot. I feel like he's gonna link up with Shinnok next time, and they're gonna wreak havoc, and they're all gonna have to battle them. Could be cool. I mean, I have expectations for these successors of films, and they always just seem to go in these little offshoots of directions that I'm like, you almost did it, but then you had to just add this or do this, and you didn't need to do all that, but whatever. You can't always get what you want. And then, like I said, they're trying to set up for Mortal Kombat 3 with Quan Chi and like saying they need to gather their warriors or some shit. Like I said, I think it's going to be Shinnok and Shang Tsung linking up on some level. I'm sure Quan Chi will somehow link up with them. like I was saying, I thought long and hard about how I felt about this film and the other films. And like I said, I think they all do certain things really right and some things not so good. I think MK95 is the best overall film. But what I'm going to do here, because like I said, I really thought long and hard about this, is because I gave the MK95 a 7.5. And I gave MK21 a 7.5. And I think I'm going to give this film also a 7.5. And like I've been saying, and I'll elaborate and expand on it more at the moment, but I think each film does things really well and a couple things not so good. And that's why, and they all vary each film. But they all are kind of in the same pocket, but I have to choose between the films. Like I said, MK95 is the superior of all the films overall. But yeah, like MK21, you know, it set up this movie to be able to do what it did. And this film kind of fumbled some stuff, but it did some stuff really right. It looked cool. And they did set up some more stuff. And, you know, the stories wasn't that great. The dialogue wasn't great, but it looked cool. And it was a fun movie. It didn't take itself as serious as say like MK21. But it also was kind of dark too. Like Shao Kahn was fucking sick. Like I want to reiterate that. Like if Shao Kahn wasn't in this movie would not have been good. Like he towed the fucking line. But yeah, so if I had to order the MK films from worst to best, it would go at the 4 spot MK97. The 3 spot would be MK21, and the 2 spot would be MK26, and then the number 1 spot would be MK95. But all MK95, MK26, and MK21, I'm giving a 7.5. Like I said, all for different reasons. So they excel in certain aspects and are lacking in others. But I think they kind of all are sort of in the same pocket. They're fun movies. They're cool to watch. And I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan too. Like I wouldn't expect the average moviegoer to rate them as such, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm a fan and I enjoy these films. So I think that's what I'm going to say and wrap it up with is, you know, hitting this with a 7.5. And yeah, it was fun. And I look forward to seeing what they do moving forward. And I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry if I was a little all over the place. And I think I was on the nose with shit and it makes sense. And hope you appreciate the insight and it was enjoyable to listen to. And yeah, I love all y'all. Y'all are good shit. Hope things are there's good things going on in your life. And if not, like stay positive. You know, you got to keep it moving. And yeah, appreciate everybody for listening to the episode. Mortal Kombat II, a.k.a. MK26 with a 7.5. That's it. Appreciate y'all. Deuces.